of Shivananda Vani. Hope you are enjoying all the episodes और हमें कमेंट करके बताते रहिएगा आपको कैसा लग रहा है। अच्छे लग रहे हैं वीडियोस तो ज़रूर शेयर करिए, लाइक का बटन दबाइए और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब भी ज़रूर कीजिएगा। तो आइए चलते हैं, आज का एपिसोड सुनते हैं। शिवानंद वानी, फॉर द सीकर्स ऑफ गॉड। This book we will start today and see what the topic is. आज है The world is full of sorrow. ये तो हम सब जानते हैं कि दुनिया में बहुत दुख है. A devotee being resigned to God is never overwhelmed by sorrow. Now this is what is important. Sorrow तो है ही, पर अगर मैं भक्त हूँ, मैं सब कुछ भगवान पर अर्पित करती हूँ या करता हूँ, तो हम कभी भी दुख हमें ओवरकम नहीं कर सकता। जगह क्या है? अगेन इट्स बेलूर मठ। टाइम इज ट्यूसडे, August 29th, 1929. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Mahapurush Ji was sitting in his room. He had not been well, suffering from some days from cold and asthma, with an intermittent slight temperature. It was painful for him to talk much, but his heart would be touched at people's earnestness and sorrows, and he found it difficult to control his emotions. He was ever eager to give people consolation and peace, forgetting his own physical suffering. A retired judge came to the monastery accompanied by his wife, son, and widowed daughter. When they stood up after saluting the Swami, he asked them affectionately to sit down. They sat on a mat which was spread on the floor. After a little conversation, the gentleman pointed to his daughter and said, "This is my daughter. Recently her husband passed away. She is very much grieved and has not yet been able to get over it. That is why I have brought her to you." Hearing this, Mahapurush Ji expressed his sympathy. Remaining quiet for a moment, he said gently, "That is the way of the world, my child." Now, this is what is the most important part when he says, "That is the way of the world." यही दुनिया का नियम है. Sorrow, bereavement, pain, and anguish. This is what the world consists of. दुनिया में दुख तो होगा ही. दुख, दर्द, मन खराब, ये सब तो होता ही है. ये दुनिया में यही है. Real joy or peace is very rare in this world, and this round of birth and death that is ours, no one can check. So, death and birth, ये cyclic movement भी है, और दुख, अच्छा लगना, बुरा लगना, ये सब कुछ है. There is joy, there is peace, and then there is sadness also. Man has no hand in it. So अगर हम सोचते हैं कि हमारी वजह से हो रहा है या किसी और की वजह से हो रहा है, ऐसा नहीं है. हमारा उसमें कोई हाथ ही नहीं है. God alone is responsible for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the world. And it is by His will that all beings are born into it. So my birth and death is controlled. He keeps them as long as He wants, and He takes them away whenever He wishes. We should know for certain that God is the Lord of birth, maintenance, and death. It is He who sends souls here to become parents, wives, children, friends, and relatives. And He keeps them entangled in some relationship or the other, taking them back whenever He wishes. So long as man is not fully convinced of this, he will be subject to grief. But the moment he is firmly established in this knowledge, he is no longer subject to grief, having no reason to grieve at all. So once this knowledge is established, there is no reason to grieve. Only we should see that we do not neglect to serve our relatives with whom we have been connected by God. So, God connects us with people, and we need to serve these people. We should not forget that it is He who has brought us here to serve them. If we neglect to do so, that is, if we neglect our duties, this we shall be, then we will be sorry for it. Man has other things to do besides grieving. He has his worldly duties to attend to. Above everything else, he should progress towards the ideal of life. What does it profit a man to cry over his grief? Kya hoga roke? Life is not meant only for grieving. We shall have to transcend birth, old age, and death and realize God. तो सबसे important point ये सब हमको पार करना पड़ेगा. We have to transcend birth, old age, death, and realize God, the object of our supreme love. Then alone there will be an end of all sorrow, by attaining which all other attainments pale into insignificance, and being established in which one is not shaken by the heaviest of sorrows. So we are established in God, we will not be shaken by the sorrows at all. We shall have to court sorrow also as blessings from God. So दुख भी भगवान का ही आशीर्वाद है. Unless a person is wholly resigned to God, he cannot endure these sorrows and grief undisturbed. The point is, unless we have resigned ourselves to God, we will not be able to endure the sorrow and grief without disturbances. It is very difficult for an average person to stand the actions and reactions of this world. A genuine devotee, because of his faith in God, is never overwhelmed by these. The object of human life is to attain that pure devotion and love and be in possession of supreme bliss. Advance towards God, my child. The more you go towards Him, the more peace you will get. There is no peace in anything in this world. At the feet of God alone does one find the abode of peace. तो शांति चाहिए तो भगवान के पास जाइए, उन्हीं के कदमों में अपने आप को सौंपिए, तभी जाके शांति मिलेगी. इस दुनिया में शांति नहीं है, ये महापुरुष महाराज जी का कहना है. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more like this, stay tuned to Devakshar. चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, वीडियोस को दोस्तों के साथ शेयर कीजिए और लाइक का बटन ज़रूर दबाएं. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you for joining us today. Namaskar.